Hey class, welcome to the last day of week 2 here of remote learning. As I'm recording this, notice that not many of you have watched the notes yet, so please get that done. Hopefully you got this done before today's notes, all right? Today's gonna be kind of a review day to recap this week here, all right? It's gonna be pretty similar to last Friday. I got this review worksheet or notes that we're gonna fill out together. And then I have a little quizzes activity again for you guys to do when we're done with the notes here, okay? So just like before, you guys know the routine by now, hopefully, right? Print this out or get your binder and notebook out. All right, here we go. Some key ideas, right? Some key ideas. When we multiply polynomials, we're going to use that distributive property, okay? We're going to use that distributive property, and we're also going to use this product rule of exponents. All right, again, you guys know this distributive property, right? This is where we multiply here. All right, and then for this product rule of exponents, all right, hopefully you guys looked over the notes and the comments I made on your homework, all right? Some of us are still multiplying these exponents, right? But we need to add these exponents up, all right? So when we multiply like terms or multiply terms with the same base, we add up their exponents. All right, and then the second idea, right, the new idea here is multiplying binomials, all right? And we can only use this FOIL method, right, first, outer, inner, last, when we have two binomials that are being multiplied together. All right, so here we go. Let's do some more practice problems, all right? So on the left here, you can see I have kind of a worked out example for multiplying polynomials. All right, so this is your poly one. All right, where I did some distributing. All right, and you can kind of see my work here. I kind of broke down each step, and then this is your final solution down here that's boxed up. All right, and on the right here, this is my binomial one. All right, the first, outer, inner, last, right? So we went first terms, we went outside terms, we went inside terms, and we went the last terms. All right, and then when we do this binomial one, multiplying binomials using the FOIL method, right? My outside and my inner terms, these are going to be like terms always, and then I'm always going to have to combine those like terms. All right, so let's do some practice problems here. All right, so now this is where, if you don't have these printed out, right, these are the problems you want to write down in your notebook paper or on your separate sheet of paper. All right, here we go. So this is 3x times 4x plus 6, right? This is just multiplying polynomials here, right? These are not binomials because binomials have two terms. All right, so this means we're going to just use some distributing here. So we get 3x times 4x and a positive 3x times 6. All right, so here I have those little ones, right? Don't always remember about those little ones, right? A 3x to the first times 4x to the first is going to be 12x to the second power. And then a 3x times a 6 is just going to be a positive 18x. All right, and these are not like terms, so they cannot be added together. All right, example 2, right? I have a monomial times a binomial, right? So this is just multiplying polynomials here. All right, so we have 2x squared times 5x squared. And then we have that positive 2x squared times 9x, or 9x to the first. All right, so when we multiply here, right, we multiply the big, so 2 times 5 gives me 10, and I add up my littles, right? So x to the second power. All right, same thing here. I'm going to multiply my big numbers or my coefficients. 2 times 9 gives me 18. And I'm going to add up my little or my exponents here. So this is going to give me x to the 2 plus 1, or x to the third power. All right, let's look on page 2 here. All right, we got number 3. We got 3x to the third times 2x minus 5. All right, again, we have a monomial of 3x to the third times a binomial, 2x minus 5. So we're just going to distribute here. All right, so we get 3x to the third times 2x. And we get that positive 3x to the third times a minus 5. All right, why don't you pause the video and write down this 3x to the third times 2x and tell me what you get for that. All right, so what we should get for this, right, this is really x to the first here. All right, we're going to do 3 times 2, which is going to give me 6. And x to the third times x to the first is going to be x to the 3 plus 1, or x to the fourth power. Hopefully that's what you got. All right, so now we have this positive 3 times a negative 5. All right, we have that negative. All right, so hopefully we're using our calculators here and double checking our work. So 3 times that negative 5 is going to be a negative 15. And then this x to the third just kind of just drops out and stays x to the third power. All right, example 4 here, we got 4x to the second times 3x to the third plus 2x squared minus 1. All right, again, we have just one monomial times this polynomial, right? So we're just going to multiply here using that distributive property. All right, so we get 4x squared times 3x to the third plus 4x squared times a positive 2x squared plus that 4x squared times a negative 1. All right, so we multiply here again, multiply my coefficients or my big numbers. 4 times 3 is 12. And I add up my little, or add up those little exponents, right? 2 plus 3 is 5. All right, so same thing here. 4 times 2 gives me a positive 8. And x to the 2 plus 2 gives me 4. All right, and then lastly, I have a positive 4 times a negative 1, right? A positive times a negative is a negative. 4 times 1 is 4. And then that x to the second power just comes down and stays as x to the second power. And again, I don't have any like terms, so this is my final solution. All right, and if I ask you a question like, what is the degree on example number 4 here, right? If we remember, your degree is going to be your highest exponent. All right, so the degree of this polynomial is 5, right? That's just kind of a little bonus, little review here from previous lessons. All right. All right, we got a couple more here, right? Example 5, right here we have x plus 7 times x plus 2. All right, here we go. This is my binomial times a binomial. All right, so I'm going to do my first terms, right, of x times x. All right, and today I'm going to be very colorful here. I'm going to do my outside terms. We're going to have this positive x times a positive 2. We're going to have my inside terms. So we have a positive 7 times a positive x. And I'm going to go yellow because it's springtime, right? So now we're going to have a positive 7 times a positive 2. All right, now we are ready to do some simplifying here, right? This is really x to the first times x to the first. So x to the 1 plus 1, or x to the second power, right? X times 2 is a positive 2x. 7 times x is a positive 7x. And 7 times 2 is a positive 14. And I'm almost done, but not quite yet, because I have to combine some like terms here. So now my final simplified solution is going to be x squared plus 9x plus 14. All right, let's look at number 6. All right, so number 6, again, we have this binomial of 3x plus 2 times another binomial of x plus 5. So we're going to use our FOIL method, right? First terms, 3x times x. My outside terms, right? A positive 3x times a positive 5. My inside terms, positive 2 times a positive x. And my last terms, right? A positive 2 times a positive 5. And now I'm ready to do some simplifying, right? X to the first becomes 3x to the second power, right? 3x times 5 is a positive 15x. 2 times x, positive 2x. 2 times 5, positive 10. And we got our like terms here, right? A 15x and a 2x, right? I can just add those together. And when I add like terms, right, this is where I do not touch the exponents, right? So this becomes 3x to the second plus 17x plus. All right, we got two last problems here, right? Of course, I'm going to make these a little more challenging, but not too bad. All right, I know you guys got this. All right, these last two problems here, we have 2x plus 3 times 3x minus 1. All right, so we have this binomial times another binomial. All right, so we get 2x times 3x for my first terms being multiplied. I have 2x times a negative 1. Right, a positive 2x and a negative 1. For my outside terms, I have a positive 3 times a positive 3x for my inside terms. And where's my lovely yellow at? We got a positive 3 times a negative 1 for my last terms. All right, so now I'm ready to do some simplifying here. Right, these little exponents of 1. So this gives me 6x to the second. Right, a positive 2x times a negative 1 is just a negative 2x, right? A positive times a negative is a negative. All right, then we have a positive 3 times a positive 3x. That's going to give me a positive 9x. And then lastly, we got a positive 3 times a negative 1. That's going to give me a negative 3, right? Positive times a negative is a negative. All right, then we got some like terms here that can combine. So then I get 6x to the second plus 7x minus 3. All right, again, sometimes those negatives can be tricky, so be sure to use a calculator when we're doing that, all right? Or at least use a calculator to check your mental math. All right, so we get the last one here, number 8. We got 2x minus 7 times 4x minus 3. All right, again, we got our first terms here of 2x times 4x. We have our outside terms, 2x times a negative 3. We have our inside terms of a negative 7 times a 4x. And we have our last terms up. Be careful, right? We have a negative 7 times a negative 3. All right, so here we go. A 2x to the first times 4x to the first is going to be 8x to the second power, right? 1 plus 1 is that 2. All right, a positive 2x times a negative 3 is going to be a negative 6x. All right, and we got a negative 7 times a 4x is going to be negative 28x. All right, and we have a negative 7 times a negative 3, right? A negative times a negative is going to be my positive 21. And last but not least step here, right, we can combine these like terms. All right, again, I'm dealing with negatives. All right, just punch it in as you see it. A negative 6 minus 28. Right, Aaron Rodgers got sacked for 6 yards, and then he threw a backwards pass for 28 yards. All right, so now they're back 34 yards here. All right, 8x squared minus 34x plus 21. Awesome, nice job with week 2, everybody. Get that quizzes done over the weekend, and we'll be back on Tuesday, right? We don't have school on Monday, so we'll be back on Tuesday.